colleague and friend, Mr. Manoj Sinha, Member Traffic, Mr. Mohammed Jamshed, all my other colleagues in the Railway Board, all my friends from industry, and my other distinguished friends. Let me first of all thank you for being here today to participate, not just in an event, but I think a beginning of a process in which we like to work with all the members of the industry as partners, as fellow travelers, and to make sure that we reach our journey in the right manner. We are aware that railway is a very critical infrastructure in the country, and 2/3 of the revenue of the railways traditionally have come from freight. So therefore there has always been a temptation to increase the revenue, charge more to the freight. And in the process, we have been taxing our customers beyond the capacity, and it reached a saturation point virtually, and we have started losing our customer share. So it's the first time, I don't know after how many years, or probably whether it's the first time ever, that we have reduced quite a bit of the burden on the customers. Now there is always an argument, it should be more, and then always there is a possibility that the railway will not survive. So we have to make sure that we have a proper trade-off. But we'll appreciate that it's the first time ever that we have actually, rather than increasing, we are reducing freight. And the idea is not only help railways but also help our customers, because customers cannot survive unless railways help them. But railways will not also be able to survive unless customers participate with them. So it's a two-way traffic, and therefore I am sure today's deliberations as well as the beginning of a process, as I said, will actually result into we developing a relationship which will lead to better customer service, also better revenues for railways, better operations for you, and when you grow, we also grow automatically. Therefore, we have vested interest in your growth. As you know, this is again a great departure from the past. I always say that as the member traffic was the most sought after person, and therefore I know many people would be willing to bet anything possible to seek an appointment with member traffic. And the member traffic would normally be more not to be seen than to be met. And therefore, now it's a departure that not only member traffic is proactive, but we are appointing, as you could see, even key customers manager. This is something which is probably unheard of for utility, which is an entity which is a monopoly. And that monopoly is going out of the way and try to find out how we can reach out to our customers, understand them, and try to make policy. This is just started almost more than a year ago. The customer service, of course, we started announcing this budget, but the entire process of interacting with industry started almost a year ago. We had a number of programs going across the country, not just at the board level, at the zonal level, at the division level, in which all people are interacting with customers a lot. I have personally been meeting a lot of customers all over the country. Wherever I travel, and I travel all the time, I go and meet, find out why there is a reason that I also try to institutionalize the system now, wherein we will actually interact with you far more. So this appointing customer service. It is part of a overall strategy for the railways, is to increase revenue. And as I said, you must also appreciate one point, that all of you are heads of your individual businesses, but also you wear another hat, that you are citizens of this country. So while you continue to work as the head of your business, you have to run the business, you also have a responsibility as well as concern, each one of you I know very well, that you want the country to develop. And if you want the country to develop, infrastructure has to develop. The critical part of infrastructure is the transportation. The most critical part of transportation is the railways. So if the railways don't develop, I don't think India can develop as much as it could be. Therefore, as citizens, I am sure they are interested in this. And therefore, we are working on a large-scale study. It is just not that increasing revenue from railways for the freight is a part of the study. It's a large study. I would request if you can give some time. I told him We'll give a little overall presentation after some time. So this will give a little bit feel about what railways are doing. And each one of the points that has been mentioned in the railway budget is at various stages of implementation. In fact, last year itself, 139 points were implemented, the last year's budget, and I gave an action taken report to the Parliament. And this will be institutionalized structure. And whatever we say, we'll try to implement and we'll inform all the stakeholders. It is also put on our social media and everywhere else. But point is, the strategy is increase infrastructure by investing into new lines, doubling, modernization of railways, another major important areas, improving efficiency. I will tell you something which is happening, and I don't think many of you will say that, including my good friend Mr. Bhargava, who brings in best practices from Japan, and I would like to share with him. We are trying to change the way the accounts are maintained. We are trying to integrate costing, management accounting, bookkeeping, management information system all rolled into one. The idea is that we should be able to track outcomes from every expenditure that we incur. But expenditure is incurred much later. In a parliamentary democracy, expenditure has to be sanctioned by the parliament. So the budgeting is the starting point. So if we do not integrate all these processes at the budgeting itself, we will never be able to get to the outcomes when eventually the expenditure is incurred much later. So therefore we are integrating budgeting, expenditure, output and outcome as a chain of events. So this has to be institutionalized. So that process is started. We already rolled out something in one division, not as comprehensive as I am telling you now, but beginning converting cash into accrual and similarly to double entry, but which unfortunately several committees in the past felt that was a great reform. But unfortunately, being a chartered accountant, I said this is not a reform, it's a beginning, good, but not necessarily that should be the objective. So we are trying to make it. So the whole of this idea would result into entire organization gearing to outcomes. And therefore, any expenditure to be incurred railways by whatever division, whatever heads of account will be finally tracked into the outcome. And to make sure that it happens, this is only a building block. We are also going for an ERP. And this ERP is probably, as per the TCS CMD, Mr. Chandrasekhar, is probably the largest project of its kind anywhere in the world. Obviously, the railway is one of the large organizations in any case. And therefore, this results into a creation of complete efficient organization. This will be rolled out soon. It might take 3 years to complete. But end of it, the savings itself in terms of monetary benefit will be immense. I don't want to quantify it, it's huge. Also, the benefit that will come in terms of efficient operations, in terms of productivity improvement, in terms of accountability, in terms of knowing exactly who is doing what, will be phenomenal. And therefore, this is something which is already happening. So, infrastructure increase, modernization, improving efficiency, bringing accountability, making it complete transparent. In fact, the whole organization objective is to make it transparent. These processes that you saw just now, also we are trying to make all tendering online. I know it's not 100% assurance that it will be transparent, but such a big beginning. All bus contact will be online. All delegation has already happened. So that's another part of a major change. All the general managers have been imported. Now we are coming out with by end of this month, we'll sign with everybody. Each and every general manager and DRM will have to now account for key result areas. And there are quite a few key result areas that they will have to perform and they will have to report it on a regular basis on those key result areas. So their future prospect, everything will be dependent on that. So on one hand we are delegating, on the other hand we are also bringing sense of accountability as well as transparency. So all this is in the various phases of happening. This is something which I am just telling you. Also we have increased the speed of implementation. The number of kilometers that we used to add only about 4 kilometers has gone to 8, we will go to 11 next year and 19 in the next year. But additionally, we are already 16 states have agreed, even if we do it with 7-8 states of them, we are making special purpose vehicles. Each of the special purpose vehicle will also independent entity, as you all know. If you create a separate corporate entity, it will have separate management, separate board of directors, therefore separate bandwidth of implementation. So even if each state implements only 5 to 7 kilometers a day, that will be for 10 states will be 70 kilometers a day. This will be addition to what I am talking about, close to 20 kilometers a day. So you can imagine the speed at which we will be able to implement it. In fact, the other members are not here, they would have told you that earlier what used to take for 2 years for tendering has already come down to almost 6 months already. But I think that will come down further. So the whole process which I am telling you today is something which is going to result into the organization getting completely different. Railway will be attuned to market because this is the money we get from market. So we have to be, our ears should be to the ground, and that is why we are meeting today. Also, we have decided to increase the non-fare revenue. Already a directorate has been created. They have already started working. As you know, in case of Japan, where our Maruti, not Maruti but Suzuki is located, is 30% of the revenue comes from non-fare revenue, non-fare boxes. We are non-rail revenue, 30%. In India, it's not even 1 or 2%. So we are trying to increase that. We have created a new directorate. So that again, over a period of time, would mean that freight, passenger fare plus non-railway fare. There will be 3 major boxes from which the railways will get revenue. Today it's only 2. So therefore, and that too, in these 2, we are only dependent on few customers. I mean, it's always, never a CEO would be happy that I am dealing only with one customer or only one line of business which can go down and then I am out of it. So therefore, diversifying the freight basket is something which we decided. That's why today's meeting is going beyond coal. So this is not just coal. 2/3 of the revenue comes from freight. 50% of the freight revenue comes from coal. So this has to change, and therefore we are already working on it. These are all structural issues. So again, what we are doing today will transform the railway, but it's going to take time. Some people are very keen, as you all also in business, you have to do quarterly reporting. Mr. Uppal has to do quarterly reporting because it's a listed company. So I think people also will expect this to 30% revenue. First quarter, what is the revenue? So people don't realize that. So unfortunately, our friends who are in great thinkers, great experts, well, some of them are, I'm sure they will also appreciate this point. These are all structural issues, and it takes time to change. And then therefore, we are willing to not necessarily work only on short-term gains, which are trying to do, but also work in the long-term interest of the country as well as railways by taking up such issues which have a long gestation period and therefore long maturity period. But still we are doing it. So all this is part of the strategy. I was sharing it with you only because you are also stakeholders as well as citizens of India. So if we can work together, I am very sure we will not only help your own business, which has to happen, the bottom line is as important, but also I would call it as not just top line, but our top priority. Our top priority is to make nation better. So bottom line and top line are important, but top priority should be the country. And therefore, while we work on both lines, we should not forget that we are part of a big line of 1.25 billion people who in turn have to make this country better. So we are trying to do our best. You should join hands, work with us, and therefore not just for your freight business, but becoming partners with us in this journey. I think that will help us to realize it better. So I am thankful to you. I am sure, as you can see, we have walked quite a bit of the distance. But as you know, the hand has been raised. You must join your hand, try to make it as a successful journey. And this is the only way we can actually make the full benefit of these realized. As we suppose we realize more benefit, that will help us to also reduce, because the volumes go up, we'll be able to reduce the fare over a period of time. And therefore, please try to join hands, work with us in a way that railways survive, you survive, country thrives. When we survive, country will thrive. And therefore, we